Welcome to the deep dive. Sometimes I feel like I need a daily update just to keep pace with AI. It feels like every few hours there's some new breakthrough or a partnership, maybe a tool that just shifts the whole landscape. Today, we're going to try and make sense of it all for you. Our mission, really, in this deep dive is to cut through that huge amount of information, strategic alliances, major research, the latest product, features, all of it, and give you a clear, kind of comprehensive understanding of exactly where AI stands right now. Think of it as your shortcut, yeah, to being incredibly well informed on the cutting edge without getting like totally bogged down.
And we've got an incredible stack of sources for this one. It really covers a diverse landscape. We're talking major industry announcements, new technical tools popping up, significant advancements in large language models, fresh product features, some really valuable educational resources, and even some, well, genuinely creative applications, plus, those high-level chats that are shaping AI's future. So the goal is to synthesize all these different perspectives into clear, actionable insights, help you connect the dots, basically.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're seeing some pretty significant developments that signal AI's rapid maturation, especially when you look at the major contracts and strategic partnerships. Take OpenAI's substantial $200 million agreement with the Pentagon, for instance. That's big, but then almost immediately you hear about them exposing a critical misaligned persona bug, which is essentially an issue where their AI could adopt, well, an unintended and potentially harmful personality. Does this kind of mixed news, huge deals right alongside critical flaws, does that reflect the industry's rapid, maybe even slightly chaotic growth right now?
Well, absolutely. It's a perfect snapshot of where we are. This massive push for rapid deployment, these huge contracts, it's bumping right up against the inherent complexities and, frankly, the still unsolved challenges of AI, like that misaligned persona bug you mentioned. What's particularly fascinating here is how this tension seems to be fueling a broader trend, consolidation. We're seeing this wave of high-profile mergers, acquisitions, and some really noteworthy hires by big players like Rubrik and Salesforce. This isn't just about big companies getting bigger, though. It feels more like a strategic land grab. It suggests the industry is reaching a point where niche expertise and foundational IP are just too critical not to own outright. Now, this could certainly speed up development, right, by centralizing resources. But it definitely raises questions about market diversity and, well, the future for independent innovation. What's it mean for the smaller guys trying to break through?
That's a crucial point. And that drive for consolidation we were just talking about, it's not just companies, it's also about where the physical backbone of AI is being built, the data centers. And surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, New Zealand is emerging as a really critical strategic hotspot for these new AI-centric data centers. They're cleverly leveraging their renewable energy sources and apparently quite friendly regulations to attract large-scale investments, setting themselves up nicely.
Right, positioning themselves as a key player in the global infrastructure.
Yeah.
And speaking of scaling efforts, the OpenAI ecosystem is also seeing some pretty remarkable growth. OpenRouter, for example, that platform helping developers integrate different AI models. They recently closed a $40 million funding round and held their first keynote, which signals, their ambition to not just scale their platform, but to become a real central hub for accessible AI model integration.
Interesting. And beyond the business deals and the infrastructure builds, there are some truly forward-thinking discussions shaping the very direction of AI itself. AMD's leadership, for example, they envision something called self-evolving models, where AI actually generates and refines its own learning processes. I'm just picturing AMD's AI models having their own little aha moments.
Exactly. Probably without the spilled coffee, though. And this vision, this idea of self-evolving models, it's deeply connected to another significant shift we're seeing, moving from just, simple prompt engineering, basically telling the AI what to do, to what people are now calling context engineering.
Context engineering. Okay.
Think of it like giving the AI a full briefing dossier instead of just a single command, right?
Yeah.
You're building this rich, comprehensive environment, information, constraints, examples, so the AI understands not just what to do, but why and how within a specific scenario. And then there's some fascinating new research on semantic compression in representation learning.
Semantic compression. Tell me more.
Imagine teaching an AI to read, say, an entire library and then distill it down to its core concepts, its essence, without losing the critical meaning. This isn't just like an efficiency hack. It feels like a fundamental leap towards AIs that truly understand nuance and context, which could potentially reduce those hallucinations we hear about and make them far more reliable for complex stuff.
Right. So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, These discussions, these advancements, they're directly shaping the anticipated impact of AI on our world, particularly in areas like healthcare, right? We're hearing intense debate among industry executives, people like Bill Gates, Microsoft's Sebastian Buback. They're intensely focused on AI's transformative potential for medical innovation.
Absolutely. And this, again, kind of loops back to those tricky AGI definition challenges we saw playing out in the OpenAI Microsoft negotiations. How we define what AGI truly is, it fundamentally impacts what we build, what we allow it to do, and, what we expect it to achieve in the first place.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. How AI is actually becoming more accessible and user-friendly for, well, everyone. We're seeing this flurry of new AI tools and platforms that are genuinely broadening access to advanced tech, moving it out of the labs and sort of into your hands. Take Gradio's Trackio, for instance. It's an open-source, lightweight tool for tracking your AI experiments. Makes it easier for anyone to manage their projects.
Yeah, it keeps things organized.
And their upcoming 5.35 update is apparently going to drastically shrink the client-side load, meaning snappier, more responsive apps for you.
It's always good news.
Definitely. Another exciting one is OpenDeep Research's new application. It lets anyone generate in-depth reports using open-source large language models. This feels like it's truly democratizing research, making sophisticated analysis available way more widely.
It really is. And it's all part of this clear trend toward giving users more control and adding richer functionalities across the board. Udio, for example, the music AI, they have a new sessions feature. It empowers musicians with much greater editorial control over the AI-generated tracks. They even offer timeline music editing.
So it's not just pressing a button and hoping for the best.
Exactly. The AI isn't just a black box anymore. Artists can actually shape and refine the output, make it their own. Then you have LM Studio, which is making it much easier to run powerful AI models directly on your own computer. They use what they call MCP servers. And this is huge because it gives you more privacy, more control. And it can make AI tools much faster and more responsive for personal projects without sending all your data off to the cloud.
That local control is a big deal for many people.
Definitely. And then there's Anthropic's clever Claude and Claude, which lets users essentially embed the Claude AI directly inside their own applications or projects.
Like having an AI assistant built right in.
Precisely. Imagine building a report or a presentation and having Claude right there, natively helping you generate content, summarize, maybe even brainstorm ideas in real time.
Yeah.
Apparently, we've already seen hundreds of millions of creations using this.
Wow.
Yeah. And even things like graphical interfaces are getting smarter. Ingwe's 1.92 update enhances texture protocols and font scaling for better visual experiences in apps. Little things, but they add up.
It certainly paints a picture of a more accessible AI future, doesn't it? But are there any potential downsides to this rapid democratization? Could we see maybe a saturation of similar tools or even new challenges as these powerful capabilities become so widely available?
That's a really crucial question. And it's definitely something the industry is actively grappling with. I mean, while accessibility is fundamentally a good thing, managing the sheer number of AI tools and ensuring responsible deployment, that's a growing concern for sure. No easy answers there. Okay, so let's shift focus a bit. Let's talk about the core advancements happening within large language models themselves, particularly in extending what they can do, improving how we measure them, the benchmarking, and boosting their efficiency. Alibaba's WebDancer, for instance, that just debuted as a really powerful model for autonomous web reasoning and agentic search.
Agentic search. So it acts like an agent online.
Kind of, yeah. It means it can navigate the web, understand complex queries, and act intelligently to find information. It's achieving top results on web question answering benchmarks. Then there's LongWriter Zero, a very promising model for generating exceptionally long, coherent text using reinforcement learning. It's apparently outperforming previous techniques for long-form content, which, is a massive leap for writing, content creation, that sort of thing.
Very interesting. And the breakthroughs in efficiency are also incredibly exciting, right? Making these powerful models more practical for everyday use. I saw that new techniques from Anthropic are demonstrating pretty dramatic cost reductions for AI classifiers by reusing model activations and selectively retraining layers.
That's the one. It really signals a clear path towards more accessible and cost-efficient large-scale models. which again is huge for broader adoption.
So this raises an important question. How are these new, more efficient, more capable models actually being tested and adopted by the wider community?
Right, how do you get them out there? Well, Google's response is pretty interesting. They've launched a challenge offering 1,000 free Gemini 2.5 Pro API calls daily.
1,000 free calls daily.
Daily. Yeah, it's a brilliant move, really, to encourage community engagement, get people testing and benchmarking the model widely. Ultimately, it drives adoption. It gets the technology into more hands, invites that collective exploration, and hopefully, innovation.
Now, this next section, AI's impact on creative fields. This is something I find particularly captivating. I saw some snippets from that AI film festival you mentioned earlier, and the work by David Cronenberg and Flying Lotus, it wasn't just impressive, it actually made me rethink what's truly possible creatively. What really stood out to you there?
That's a fantastic point. The AI Film Festival truly showcased how AI isn't just, automating tasks anymore. It's becoming a genuine creative collaborator. David Cronenberg's piece, for instance, it really demonstrated how AI could extend a director's vision in ways that were, previously unimaginable, creating these compelling projects that push artistic boundaries.
So it's moving beyond just generating images.
Exactly. It's transforming entire narratives, potentially. And speaking of impressive creative output, Higgsfield's Soul model. That's really impressing digital creatives. Apparently, it delivers fashion-quality AI photorealism and has a huge variety of presets. It's significantly pushing the boundaries of generative visual tech, making that kind of high-end creative work potentially more accessible.
It's amazing how quickly that space is evolving.
It really is. And what's fascinating here is how these creative leaps are being matched by new educational resources. Resources that are simplifying the adoption of powerful new tools.
Right. The learning aspect is crucial, isn't it? What are some of the standout educational opportunities you've come across?
Well, there are new tutorials making it much easier to use DSPy.
DSPy. Remind me.
It's a fast-evolving framework for prompt tuning and workflow optimization. Basically helps developers get more sophisticated results from LLMs without excessive manual tweaking. Makes advanced AI programming more approachable. And we've also seen some highly recommended learning materials, like Stanford's CS336 course, and another one called How to Scale Your Model. These offer really deep dives for professionals who aspire to excel in LLM development and deployment. Invaluable resources for staying ahead of the curve.
So it sounds like whether you're a newcomer just starting out, or maybe a seasoned practitioner, or even just someone curious about how these technologies work, these guides and courses are really catering to everyone, fostering skill growth in what is, let's face it, an increasingly complex and exciting field. And that brings us towards the end of our deep dive for today. We've just explored the incredible pace and the multifaceted nature of AI progress we've seen recently, from huge industry deals and consolidation all the way down to individual creative tools and foundational model advancements. It's a truly dynamic landscape.
Yeah, and to reiterate that central theme, the industry is relentlessly pushing the technical boundaries, no doubt about it. But at the same time, it's focusing really hard on real-world deployment and accessibility. This dual focus is making AI not just more powerful, but also more approachable and hopefully more useful for you, the individual user, whether you're a developer, an artist, or just someone trying to stay informed.
Absolutely. And as we leave you today, maybe consider this. Given these rapid advancements in AI's ability to generate and refine its own learning processes, this idea of self-evolving models, and couple that with the shift towards holistic context engineering, what ethical frameworks or maybe what collaborative human AI roles do you think will become most crucial? Crucial in ensuring these potentially self-evolving systems actually align with societal well-being, something to mull over until our next deep dive.